Greetings, I'm Chappers. How you doing? Quite a relaxed video today. I got asked in a comment recently, what's the deal with scalloped fretboards? And I thought, you know what? It's a really good opportunity, he says, picking fluff from his tuning pegs, to talk about scalloped fretboards, why I love them, and show one that I bought ages ago from a friend of mine called Ben Wilshire. And play some, talk about the practicalities, the benefits, the disadvantages, and all about scalloped fretboards. Ba, ba, ba. Hello, phone. This is a second-hand, well now it's third-hand, old Chapman ML1 from the original run years and years and years ago. And this was purchased by my friend and one of the Chapman artists, a guy called Ben Wilshire. And I bought it from him because he did loads of really cool mods, and I'm a big fan of people that took the original Chapman guitar ML1s and modified them to within an inch of their life. They were kind of designed for that. It was really the purpose. It was a bit like when you buy a camera and you get a kit lens, change out the pickups and do mods and all that kind of stuff. The wood was really high quality. The bits that you could add on were as cheap as we could make them at the time. And people kind of went to town with it, and I loved that. So I thought, I'm just gonna change the strings now and chat to you a little bit about the fretboard, and then I'll give you some tones and some cool things. This is the latest iteration of ML1 from Chapman guitars. This one's got 2 humbuckers. We also do one with a bunch of single coils in a more traditional format. I don't think we'll ever make a scalloped fretboard version. I think that would be a little bit extreme. It divides opinion somewhat. But you never know, you might be inspired by this video and decide to chop out a load of your own wood. Taking these strings off is going to be a tedious task, so with the power of video magic. There you go. So, all changed. I bet you wish every string change could be exactly the same for you, but it cannot, I'm afraid. Unless, of course, I live in your basement or somewhere like that. So, freshly strung with Paradigm from Ernie, which are, in my opinion, the finest electric guitar strings money can buy. Although I don't pay for my strings. Sounds great, as you can tell. By the way, it's really windy but really hot, so I've left the door open, so it's probably really noisy. Now, I'm not sure whether to close the door and sweat and suffer while you watch me, or leave it open and you have to listen to birds and the trees, and I'll probably just leave it open. I first got a scalloped fretboard when, I'm going to do a name drop in a minute, but I had the honour of my first ever session for the electric guitar being that I made the masterclass for Yngwie Malmsteen's Far Beyond the Sun live DVD. And I was really excited to get the work, and then absolutely terrified when I found out it was Yngwie, and then it almost destroyed me. And they gave me a VHS cassette tape of him live in Leningrad playing all this cool stuff, and I wore through not just the cassette tape but VCRs. It was unreal, and I had to notate all the music and then go to a studio and have it animated. Like, they wanted it like karaoke with a band singing ball. We just couldn't get the ball to animate fast enough. Anyway. for that session, Fender made me a Strat. It was custom made. I've sold it. I'm gutted that I sold it. But it was a really cool custom made Strat. Deep scallop on the fretboard, black. It was actually originally sunburst, and then they had it painted black, and then it just souped up. And some of the earliest videos you'll see of me on YouTube, or actually originally MySpace, are me playing this Strat, doing some Yngwie stuff. So I really got to grips with Scalloped Fretboards back then. This is like 11, maybe 12 years ago. And I was using a Scalloped Fretboard so that I could effectively and efficiently notate Yngwie stuff for the masterclass. And then I kind of fell in love with it. But then I never really had the guts to do that to one of my own guitars until, well, it wasn't even my guitar, but a while back with Andertons, I picked out a cool guitar and did a bunch of mods to it, and one of them was to scallop it, and I loved it again. And I'm thinking about doing it again, although I own this one. Obviously this is one of the original ML1s, and I love this, not just because Ben owned it, but because it's one of the first ever guitars that Chapman Guitars made. These were originally made in China, in Hebei. These are now made in Indonesia, and very different beasts. Totally souped up, rolled edges, nice timbers, all that kind of stuff. Not that this wasn't great, just a very different kind of instrument. Anyway, I've got a Boss Katana set to the brown sound. The monster is all kind of warmed up and lubed and fresh and ready to go. And it's the first time I've played with a Scalloped Fretboard in absolutely ages, and I'm really enjoying it. And I think something that a lot of people maybe misunderstand is, well, where it comes from and what are the benefits of a Scalloped Fretboard. So I'm going to talk you through some of them because I think it might be kind of interesting. So it wasn't invented by Ritchie Blackmore or Yngwie Malmsteen, far from it. Scalloping was originally where old guitars, mandolins got their fret from. It was the wood formed the fret. There wasn't a metal strip. The metal fret is a relatively new innovation, but originally it was just lutes were carved to form peaks on the board, and that was the wood was your fret. And then people started to take a flat fretboard and they would tie around the neck a piece of gut or a piece of the string, and that would form a rudimentary fret, a bit like the mandolin that I recently bought my dad, if anyone has seen that video, which is really fun. So, so yeah, these frets are a new thing, and the scalloping is a throwback to when old, you know, guitars and mandolins were made with these scalloped fretboards. But there's a really cool thing. When you've got nothing under your finger, apart from the string, and even if you press, you can't, on a deep scallop, you can't get to the wood. If you've got really light gauge strings, suddenly you've got a problem. So here is a note played normally. Here's a note where I press a bit hard. I can literally get a semitone or a tone in some instances from just pressing into the string. So it's forcing you to have a really light touch when you use light gauge strings. Now this is a hybrid set. What I've got here is 10 to 56, 10 to 56 on top, and then just normal 10s on the bottom. So these strings are quite hard. If I press hard here, it barely makes a difference to the pitch of the note. Sounds like my pickups need a clean. So we all know that Yngwie uses 8s, which are really light gauge. If you've not tried playing with 8s, I absolutely recommend you give it a go. It's a real experience. So you know he's got the softest of touches on the guitar to try and get it to not flux out of tune and go sharp in pitch. But here's a cool thing. When you put your finger on the string, the flesh of your finger wraps around it and gives you a brilliant purchase for vibrato, like this. It really gives you the feeling that you can't come off the string. It's like you're super gripped to the string, and any kind of vibrato seems to be much easier because you are literally wrapping the flesh of your finger around the string. So it adds a whole new dimension to the bending, to the vibrato, that kind of thing. And because you're forced into a position where it's making you softer, it makes you a little bit, well, you end up being faster because you're using less strength. Using less strength makes you quicker, fleeter, fingered. So it's kind of a built-in handicap that forces you into a position where you become faster. I guess a bit like wearing wrist weights if you're a boxer, then you take them off and then suddenly you're really fast. So that is what the deal is with scalloped fretboards. Scalloped, depends on whereabouts you are from the country. The cool thing about these old Chinese-made Chapman ML1s is that the fretboard, actually the factory made a mistake and they made almost double the thickness of ebony on the fingerboard. So of course there was lots and lots of real estate to chop through for the scalloping. So if you've got one, congratulations. I have been Rob Chapman from Chapman Guitars, and thank you for enjoying watching me talk about scalloped fretboards. Take it easy. Please subscribe, and if you'd like to press my bell, that would be, I'm guessing it's up there somewhere, that would be really helpful as well. And I hope you've enjoyed watching me sweat my way through this day. Take it easy. Chappers out.